In everyday language, a complication is something usually very negative that you want to avoid. However, in the world of watchmaking, a complication is something quite positive, and the more complications a watch has, the most revered it will be. First of all, what is a complication? According to most definitions that I can find online, a complication is any function above and beyond the hours, minutes and seconds. And within that definition are a lot of things, from a simple display of a date to the display of astronomical charts, for example. Yes, there's watches that do that actually. There are so many complications out there. The aim of this video is not to list them all, but to list the main ones and the ones that might be more useful or at least more common. So we'll list them from the simpler to the more complex. And we'll start with one that I have referred to already in the intro. It is date complication. This is extremely useful, and it will most of the time be a window on the dial of the watch showing the date. Some variants may include the days shown on a sub-dial with a hand pointing at it, or on an outer dial with another fourth hand pointing at it as well. I know that a lot of people do not like to have a date complication because it somehow mars the cleanliness of a dial. I prefer to have a date with a matching color of the date wheel and the dial. The limitation of the date complication, whenever you have a month that has only 30 days, or 28 or 29 like February, well, you have to set it manually because the date wheel will have 31 days. The second complication, building upon the first one, will be the day complication. So usually they will come together, a day and date. I have not heard of watches that have only day, although that might exist. Leave me a comment below if you know of watches that only do day. And here you will find many Japanese movements that have this complication, even at the entry level. For example, the Seiko NH36, many movements from Citizen and Orient as well. The day date will have the same limitations as the date, and you will have to manually adjust the date on months that do not have 31 days. Building upon that, we have the annual calendar, and it is just like the ones that we said before, so day, date, but you add the month in here, so you can actually track your whole date. As you have the month, the limitation with manually changing the date is mostly gone. The watch does it automatically for you, but for the month of February, where you still will have to adjust it manually. But with the following complication, you will not have to adjust the watch at all until the year 2100. What is a perpetual calendar? Like the name says, it is a calendar that you will not have to change at all, because it takes into account the month of February and even leap years. I researched why you will have to set it manually again in the year 2100. It's because in that year, the leap year will be skipped for the calendar time to better adjust with the actual Earth time. We'll follow with non-calendar complications. And of course, you have a very popular one that I love, the chronograph. The chronograph allows you to measure time on demand. So it'll be a complication added to your watch, usually with 3 buttons, although you can find monopusher chronographs. This is actually the way that chronographs started. Usually how chronographs are presented, you will have 2, 3 or more subdials that will be used to measure time, the elapsed time, one that will give you the seconds of the main time, and although it is not obligatory, one that will measure the elapsed hours of the measured time. The chronograph with 2 subdials will usually be called a bicompax. The one with 3 subdials will be called a tricompax. What will seem strange to somebody that does not know about chronographs is that the chronograph hand, which resembles a lot a second hand, will be motionless until you activate the actual chronograph. Then it will start to move in order to count the time. A variant of these is the split second, where you will have two hands, and this is made in order to record lap times. When you get the chronograph going, you activate it again and another hand picks up from where the other one left off and will count the second lap time. It is pretty easy to do on a digital watch, much more complex on an analog mechanical watch. And usually rattrapante, or the split second complication, is reserved for high-end horology. Recently, in 2018 I think, Alango and Zone released the triple split, which is an amazing feat, but that watch costs, I think it was 140,000 euros, so just crazy. To finish with chronographs, you have a complication that is not very common, but that I usually love, that's why I included it here. It is the Foudroyante. Foudroyante in French means striking, and it is where there's another tracking of the time, but this time it will do a full rotation in 1 second. So it means that it goes very, very fast, and it is beautiful to see. A great example of this will be the Zenith Defy to El Primero 21 with the amazing Foudroyante. If that watch were just a little smaller, I would really try and get it. Regarding the chronograph, one can argue that there's other complications, tachymeter, telemeter, or even the pulsations. I don't know if those count as real complications, but anyway, that's up for debate. The next kind of complication is one that is pretty useless, but pretty nice to see. It is the Moonphase, and as the name says, this complication will allow you to see the phase of the moon, whether it is new, whether it is full, or all the cycles in between in the 28-day phase of the moon. Once again, unless you are tracking tides or something else, it is just something that is pretty to see. And then there's another one that is a big favorite. It is of course the dual triple time zones. We usually call these GMT watches, although the term is a little bit abusive, because we are not actually tracking GMT time, we are tracking more than one time zone. This is usually done via a fourth hand and an outer or inner bezel with a 24-hour display. The fourth hand will rotate once every 24 hours and point to the direction of the other time zone. It will usually have a bicolor display, so you can know if in the zone time you're tracking it is day or night. A more complex variation of these will be the world timer. This is much less common than the classic GMT watch, and a bit more complex as well, as it requires more moving parts. There will usually be two rotating wheels juxtaposed, one with the names of the city and one with the 24-hour display. And there will be one point where you have to set your local time, and then by reading the combination of the two wheels, city name and hour, you can know what time it is in all of the marked cities on the dial. The limitation here is of course DST, daylight saving time, which cannot be featured in these analog watches. And this is something that, for example, very basic digital Casio watches or other brands actually do quite easily. Okay, I am going to stop here. I could go on with very simple things like power reserves, or much more complex things like chimings, grande sonnerie, petite sonnerie, and all that. Let me know if you want to hear about those more elaborate complications, and I might make a video about it. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. For those who know the channel, let me know if this kind of more educational content agrees with you, and I will make sure to make more of it. In the meantime, thank you very much, and I'll be seeing you very soon. Goodbye.